Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is a story of what if Naruto and Sasuke was like Hashirama and Madara. Naruto and Sasuke will be strong. Naruto will have a wood release and he is a Senju. Sasuke will, as you all know, an Uchiha. Now let's start the story. Chapter 12 Inches Hell No. Kakashi, Sasuke, and Hinata all tensed up at Naruto's protest as they stood in the mission office, having just been assigned a mission by Tsunade, who immediately glared at him. What kind of a response is that, brat? We're a team comprised of a Junin and 3 Chunin, Naruto said, glaring right back. Don't waste resources assigning us a damn C rank. As much as I agree with you, Sasuke muttered as he leaned in, the Godime can be terrifying if you act like this. Naruto, listen, Tsunade started, but was interrupted when the doors slammed open. Trouble, Godime-sama, a Chunin from the deciphering corps yelled as she barged into the room. What is it? Tsunade asked, blinking. Suna's cage has been taken by an organization called Akatsuki, the Chunin exclaimed. We just received the message. The cage. Naruto muttered. Gaara, eh? Right, Tsunade said, closing her eyes in thought. Well then, Team Kakashi, I'll tell you your new mission. You are to go immediately to Sunagaku no Sato, find out the situation, and relay it to Konoha. After that, follow the orders of Suna and back them up. Hey, sounds a bit more interesting than AC rank, that's for sure. Naruto said with a grin, to which Sasuke smirked. Seems your luck holds up even after all this time, he commented. When do we leave? ASAP, Tsunade said, and Team 7 nodded, before leaving the mission office. It was no more than 15 minutes later that Team 7 stood at the west gate, ready to head off. It's our first mission in a while, and it's an important one, Kakashi said, his hands in his pockets. Here's hoping it goes well. As Kakashi said, it's very important that this mission is a success, Tsunade, standing at the gate with them, said with her arms crossed. Don't worry, Ba-chan, Naruto said, giving a lazy salute. We'll get Gaara back. Yo, Naruto, came Jiraiya's voice as the Sannin landed in front of them. Going on a mission. Tsunade, I have news. Suna's cage, I know, I'm just about to send these brats to get him back, Tsunade interrupted with a gesture for Team 7. Jiraiya blinked as he looked at them, then walked over to whisper to Tsunade. You do know about the thing between Naruto and Akatsuki, right? He can handle it, Tsunade said firmly. I see. Then, one last talk, Jiraiya said as he walked up to Naruto. Now, brat, I know you're strong and all, but this is Akatsuki you're going to deal with. Strategy has never been your strong point, so don't go rushing in head first. If not Sasuke, follow Kakashi's lead, alright. Yeah, Naruto said, waving him off. Right, then, Jiraiya said, straightening up. Kakashi, he's all yours. Make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. Right. Naruto barked suddenly. Let's go, then. With that, Naruto's legs tensed up. Cracks were heard coming from the ground, before he suddenly disappeared with a crack like thunder, leaving only a cloud of dust behind. Hey, man's gotten fast, I admit, Sasuke said with a smirk. Hinata, sensei, try to keep up. With that said, Sasuke blurred away as well. Temari, Suna Junin, was having a rather pleasant walk back to Suna. There wasn't even a gust of wind, the sun was shining, and the trees were providing her with shade whenever she needed it. Plus, she was in allied territory, so she didn't have to worry about an attack. Therefore, it came as quite the shock to her when she was blown over by the wind pressure caused by a human missile, which came to an immediate stop in front of her. Landing on her bum painfully, Temari glared up at the person, only for her eyes to widen when she saw a head of golden hair, and a silvery fur collar. You. Temari-san. Senju Naruto said with a grin. Fancy meeting you here. Good timing, too. What are you doing here? You're going too fast, came Uchiha Sasuke's voice as the boy blurred into view next to Naruto. Save some energy. It's a long trip. So, Temari said, pushing herself to her feet, handsome and whiskers together again, eh? Naruto blinked at that, then jutted his thumb toward Sasuke. He's whiskers, right? Temari-san, Kakashi said as he landed next to them with Hinata. Good thing we found you. We have news. A few hours ago, we got a report in that Suna's cage, Gaara, has been defeated and abducted by Akatsuki, Kakashi said seriously, making Temari's eyes widen. We have been sent to help find him. Gaara was. Slowly, Temari's shock melted away, to be replaced by a frown. I had a bad feeling earlier. It'll take 3 days to get to Suna from here, Kakashi continued. Let's hurry. Right. With that, everyone leapt off. Hey, Naruto, Sasuke spoke up as they leapt from tree to tree. It's true what Jiraiya said to the Hokage. The Akatsuki are after you too. Is it really? Don't you start as well, Naruto interrupted. They may be after me, they may be stronger than me. Maybe I'm nothing but an ant to them. But they sure as hell won't get me without the fight of their lives. I'm not gonna run from them. I suppose that even if you run from them, a confrontation is pretty much inevitable, Kakashi agreed. But listen to Jiraiya. Don't just rush in if we encounter the Akatsuki. They're S rank for a reason. That's cool, I'm not worried, Naruto said with a small grin, glancing at Sasuke. After all, I have him to back me up. Sasuke smirked at that. That much faith in me, huh? Not all that much. I just figured that I'll be softening up any enemy we encounter enough for you to finish them off. Despite the insult, a slight grin appeared on Sasuke's face as he glanced at Naruto. Glad to see you haven't lost confidence in yourself. Naruto's grin faded slightly as his thoughts drifted from his ego. This pisses me off, though, he admitted. If they were after me for me, and Gaara for Gaara, I wouldn't be as pissed. But they want something we really didn't have any control over. So? Sasuke asked. Well, to them, Gaara and I are just obstacles in the way of their true goals. They even have to keep us alive to extract the Biju, Naruto continued, gritting his teeth. The thought of that happening to me, no matter how slim the chances are. Fuck that. If they're gonna fight me, they should prepare to fight Senju Naruto, not the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I didn't think I was that bad. Naruto blinked, and found himself inside his subconscious, standing in front of Kurama's cage. His body was moving on autopilot, considering that he hadn't tripped on a branch and broken his neck. What are you on about? Behind the bars, Kurama grinned. Aren't you the one who's always going on about how we're in this together? And now you don't consider us partners anymore. Don't be an idiot, Naruto grumbled. I just don't like that they focus solely on you. I'm not an obstacle in front of you, you know. I'm a living, breathing person. What would you say if the roles were reversed? If the roles were reversed, I would have released you from my stomach and eaten you a long time ago, so that wouldn't be an issue, Kurama said with a shrug, laying down and grinning wider. But, as you said, I'm in this too. If it turns out that you can't defeat your enemy, I'm gonna fight to survive, and I don't care if you survive along with me. Same old story, Naruto said with a small smirk. You may talk like that, but we both know I've grown on you. Kurama just scoffed and looked away. Ruto. In the real world, Naruto blinked and looked to Sasuke. Sorry, I was talking to Kurama. What is it? Hinata was asking you a question. Naruto looked to the third member of their team, raising an eyebrow. What do you need, Hinata? Hinata giggled at that. It's a coincidence, really. I was just saying that I've read about Jinchuriki being able to communicate with the demons they hold, and I was asking if it was true. I guess you just answered that. Yeah, I can. But he's a grumpy bastard most of the time, like I've just woken him from an awesome nap. Gaara's brother, Kankuro, had apparently attempted to stop the Akatsuki, and had been poisoned by the famous Suna puppeteer Akasuna no Sasori. That was why Team 7 was now standing in an emergency room with several Suna shinobi, including 2 old and very respected retired ninja, one of whom was the infamous Chiyo, the grandmother of Sasori. Man, our girl's grown on us, Naruto said, standing with his arms crossed as he watched Hinata treat Kankuro with an incredible amount of skill, putting a cut in his side and pulling the poison out of his body with her chakra. This must come as a big surprise to you, since you've been gone for so long, but I've watched her grow, so I'm not too shocked, Sasuke said, also crossing his arms. She's treated my injuries more than once. Your injuries? Naruto asked curiously. Both from missions and from sparring with Kakashi. He's not you, but he can still give me a good beating sometimes, Sasuke said with a shrug. Even though he easily gets tired, and has to spend a few days recovering in the hospital after he's fought me. You know, I'm standing right here, Kakashi muttered with a frown hidden behind his mask. How about some respect for your teacher? I did say you can give me a beating, didn't I? Well, I'm back now, so now you can look forward to taking a beating without the satisfaction of putting your opponent in the hospital doing so, Naruto said, a grin spreading on his face. You'll have to live with getting the crap beaten out of you without putting so much as a scratch on me. Hinata exhaled slowly as she healed the cuts in Kenkuro's body, before smiling softly at everyone. He should be alright now. I removed all the poison from his body. But, if we're going up against the creator of it, I will need some time to make an antidote. Chio sighed heavily at that. Well, I suppose I'll have to be the one to show you to the greenhouse. In the meantime, there's something I would like to ask, Kakashi said, looking to Baki, who was also in the room. What came of the pursuit of the Akatsuki after the attack? Kankuro went after them alone, Baki said grimly. There were no others. Then, have we completely lost them? Yes. We have. Well, could you please guide me to where Kankuro-kun was fighting? Kakashi said. Though I might not seem it, I am an expert at pursuit. Even if a small amount of their scent is left behind. That is, not necessary, came a pained voice, making everyone turn to look at Kankuro, who was awake and slowly sitting up. There are two enemies. One abducted Gaara, you should be able to follow Gaara's scent. Even assuming they split up, the other caught a bit of their clothing on Karasu's hand. Well then, no time to just sit around. Naruto said, crossing his arms. Let's go, boys and girls. Before that, Kakashi said, looking to Kankuro. May we hear more about Akatsuki, please? So, an hour later they were ready to head out. Hinata had made 3 antidotes against Sasori's poison, so they were set on that front. Naruto could heal quickly, especially with Kurama helping him, but he had no idea how he'd do against a poison that only someone on Tsunade's level could heal. I'm going too. Came Temari's voice as she approached Team 7 when they got ready to leave. Temari, came Chio's ancient voice from above, making them look up to see the old woman standing on the village wall. Stay here and work on the defense of the country border. From the shinobi of Suna, I am more than enough. But, Chio Basama. Don't treat me like an old woman. Chio barked, jumping off the wall, much to everyone's shock. Even more surprising was when she landed with a thump, but still looked up with a surprisingly calm look on her face. I've wanted to give my cute grandson some love for a while now. Right, then, let's head off. Naruto said. Let's not waste any more time. If you're gonna dawdle, Sasuke and I will scout ahead. With that, without waiting for the go-ahead, Naruto dashed off. Sasuke smirked to himself. True, no time like the present, he said, before dashing off as well. The Uchiha quickly caught up with Naruto, having always been faster than him if pushed. So, what have you got? It's like Gaara's leaking, Naruto said as they ran. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but he's left a chakra trail. Not his own, but the Shukaku's. You didn't fight it at the Chunin exams, Sasuke commented. How do you know what it feels like? Please, that chakra could be felt from miles away back then. Besides, I've met Gaara a few times in my travels. He's been helping me handle Kurama's chakra. You've become friends? Sasuke asked in surprise. Well, not really friends, I think. Well, maybe, I don't know. Not like you and me, but still, I'd count on him in a pinch, Naruto explained with a shrug, which made Sasuke frown. You know, you should think about these things a bit harder. I have other things on my mind right now. Sasuke hummed to himself. They had been running for near a day straight now, only stopping to rest twice, and that was only 5-minute breaks. Think we should wait for Kakashi and the others to catch up. I think we can handle any threat that shows up, Naruto said confidently, which made Sasuke chuckle. Are you saying that because you actually believe that, or because you want to believe that? I believe it, Naruto confirmed. In any case, the others are just about an hour behind us. If whoever we encounter becomes too much, we can hold them off for at least that long until backup shows up. You're actually thinking ahead. Sasuke asked in surprise. Wow, that training trip was good for, hold it, someone's up ahead. Naruto barked suddenly as they reached a clearing, coming to a stop. You know, I sometimes think I have too big a mouth. Sasuke didn't respond. Instead, he had just settled for glaring at the person on the other side of the clearing. With his Akatsuki robe billowing in the wind, Uchiha Itachi was giving the duo his usual emotionless stare, his Sharingan blazing as always. Uchiha Itachi. Sasuke growled out, his rage evident to everyone. Keep your eyes open, Sasuke, Naruto muttered, narrowing his eyes. Something is off here. What do you mean? I mean, he doesn't have nearly as much chakra as he did 3 years ago, Naruto explained. He looks and feels real enough, but I don't think this is the real thing. I can't explain it, because it doesn't feel like a clone. Henge, then. No, the chakra is his. This is Uchiha Itachi, yet it isn't. It's been a while, Naruto-kun, Sasuke, Itachi said before Sasuke could respond to that enigmatic statement. Don't look into his eyes, Sasuke said as his Sharingan flared to life. You don't have to tell me that, Naruto muttered, keeping his gaze fixed on Itachi's feet. I've fought you enough times to know that. Naruto, I don't care if you fight alongside me. I've come to terms with that possibility, but the killing blow is mine, Sasuke said, feeling confident enough to glance at Naruto, knowing that the blonde would warn him if Itachi decided to move. A bit early for that, don't you think? Naruto muttered. Let's hold off on arguing about the killing blow until he's down. Slowly, Itachi raised his hand and pointed at Naruto. I'll kindly ask you to come with me, Naruto-kun. Naruto's eyes widened at that, and he immediately put his hands in a ram seal. Kai. The genjutsu that had started weaving around Naruto was suddenly dispelled, and the blonde gritted his teeth. Sasuke. Yeah. Sasuke rushed forward, drawing his sword and lighting it on fire as he reached Itachi, swiping at his older brother, who dodged with remarkable ease. He didn't let up, however, and came at Itachi with swing after swing, never giving him a moment to breathe. Finally, Itachi played right into Sasuke's hands, leaping up into the air to avoid his sword and going through a set of handseals. He was surprised, however, when he saw Sasuke look up at him with a smirk. His eyes widened in realization when a shadow was cast on his face, and he looked up to see Naruto above him, leg raised, his heel coming down toward Itachi at an alarming speed. Gotcha. Naruto barked as his heel impacted with Itachi's face and sent him rocketing to the ground, only to frown immediately as he landed next to Sasuke. Damn, Kawarimi. Sense him. His chakra is all over the place, Naruto muttered, still frowning. It's hard to get a fix on him. Back to back. Naruto nodded and turned, putting his back against Sasuke's to make sure they had a 360 degrees visual, and that no one would get between them. The blonde Senju's brow furrowed in concentration as he sharpened his senses, trying to detect the source of the chakra flooding the area, only for his eyes to widen when he finally detected it. Sasuke. Jump. The 3 years apart hadn't affected their teamwork in the slightest, as both teams leapt into the air at exactly the same time, and Sasuke knew exactly what Naruto was going to do, because his arms reached back and wrapped around Naruto's midsection as the blonde went through handseals. Suiten. Sukyu no Jutsu, Water Element, Water Sphere Technique. Naruto spat out a large amount of water, which formed a sphere around him and Sasuke just as the ground underneath them exploded, a massive fireball bursting out of it and heading straight for them. The fireball smashed into the water sphere and launched them higher into the air. The water steamed from the heat, but the fire didn't break through. Still, though, Naruto had to admit that Itachi had packed an amazing amount of chakra into that fireball. Alright, Naruto. Sasuke said once the fire died down, and the water sphere disappeared, to show Itachi standing in a crater beneath them. Sasuke released Naruto and pulled himself down, flipping in the air so that he planted his feet against Naruto's, his sword catching on fire again. Let's do this. Right. Naruto said, his legs tensing up. He blew a large amount of air out of his mouth, which enveloped Sasuke's sword, strengthening the flames, before he pushed off, sending Sasuke rocketing toward Itachi, whose eyes widened. Kaiten. Entei 2, Fire Element, Flame Emperor's Blade. Sasuke called out as he slashed at Itachi. The slash sent a massive arch of intense fire down at the renegade Uchiha, slicing straight through him and leaving a massive gash in the earth, about 90 feet long. Sasuke gritted his teeth. Another Kawarimi. In the air, Naruto created a clone and used it as a springboard to send himself shooting down toward the earth, rearing his fist back. I got him! He exclaimed, slamming his fist down into the ground and shattering it in an 80-foot radius, the shockwave sending Sasuke stumbling. Beneath Naruto was a visibly surprised Itachi, who had been hiding underground. The surprise didn't last long however, as his eyes locked with Naruto. Got you, he said softly, making Naruto's eyes widen as Itachi's eyes changed shape, the tomos merging to form a three-point shuriken shape. All it took was a blink of the eye for the world around Naruto to change. Everything turned black, save for the sky, which turned a blood red, a black moon high in the sky. Before Naruto could react, wooden poles shot out of the ground behind him, sprouting chains that wrapped around his wrists and pulled him into them. Welcome to the world of Tsukuyomi, came Itachi's voice as the Uchiha walked around Naruto to stand in front of him. He, like the rest of the world, was black, his features outlined in white. Space and time are under my control in this world. In here, I am God. There is no escaping this. You bastard. Naruto growled, straining against the chains. To his amazement, they didn't break. This is just an illusion, Naruto-kun. In here, you do not possess the great strength you have in the real world. Well then, Naruto said, a small grin appearing on his face. I'll just have to wait for Sasuke to break it, won't I? Sasuke has become very strong, not to mention fast, Itachi admitted, nodding slowly as a katan formed in his hand. However, I can torture you for 3 days in here, and not even a second will pass in the real world. We'll have plenty of time before Sasuke reaches us. Itachi took a step toward Naruto, who tensed up as the Uchiha raised the katana. Now, for the next 72 hours, you will be continuously stabbed by this katana. Itachi reared his arm back, but then suddenly stopped when the world was flooded by an intense chakra. The world around them changed color, being flooded with a fiery orange. What the? Itachi mumbled softly, looking behind him, only for his eyes to widen when a figure took shape. It was a massive orange fox, standing just a few yards away from him, its 9 tails swirling behind it. It lowered its massive head to glare at Itachi. You're a powerful Uchiha, but you have clearly never faced a Jinchuriki before, have you? Kurama growled out, which made Naruto grin. Man, your timing is amazing, Kurama, he said happily. Clearly not, Itachi said, ignoring Naruto. But I do know the power of the Sharingan over the Biju. Itachi was obviously surprised when Kurama didn't obey his mental commands upon seeing the blazing Sharingan, but instead simply grinned at the Uchiha. Usually, that would probably work, Kurama admitted. Those accursed eyes are powerful, no doubt. So, I guess this is one time I am actually grateful to have a Senju as a host. Kurama grinned wider and raised his massive paw, then sent it crashing down on Itachi. Naruto blinked, and suddenly found himself in the real world again, staring at a surprised Itachi. Taking advantage of this, Naruto formed a hand seal, and a wooden clone sprouted from his body, launching itself at Itachi and wrapping its arms around him. Sasuke, do it! Naruto barked, leaping away as Sasuke came charging at them, a Chidori chirping in his hand. You don't have to tell me. Sasuke said, flashing forward and slamming his hand into Naruto's clone's back, piercing right through it and into Itachi, whose eyes widened in both surprise and pain. Can't be this easy, Sasuke said, staring at the pained Itachi. Naruto, look around for the real one. Naruto formed a half-ram seal and concentrated, his eyebrows shooting up in surprise. From what I can sense, it was this easy. I can't feel him, he admitted as Itachi's body slackened, held up only by Naruto's now dead Moku Bunshin. Still, something doesn't feel right. Sasuke muttered as his Chidori died down, and he pulled his hand out, only for his eyes to widen. This is what? Naruto asked, walking over to Sasuke, to go wide-eyed as well. Itachi's body was morphing before their eyes. His clothes didn't change, but his hairstyle and facial features changed to someone completely different, a man with a small beard on his chin. That's not Itachi. Sasuke muttered, narrowing his eyes. What's your analysis? Like I said, this felt wrong from the start. He didn't have as much chakra as Itachi usually did, but he had Itachi's techniques, and could even use the Sharingan. Naruto muttered, frowning and shaking his head. I can't make heads or tails of it. It's like someone put a third of Itachi's chakra into this body to make. I don't know, some kind of living clone, or something. But that's not possible, Sasuke said. The only technique that could possibly be similar would be the Edo Tensei, but this was no Edo Tensei. And yet we're looking at a real human body that had been turned into some kind of clone. Naruto said, none of his usual joking attitude remaining. Whoever did this, he's good. And this guy was no doubt sent to delay us, Sasuke said, perking up. We don't have time to waste here. We can theorize on the way. Yeah. The two jumped away, leaving the body there. At least it could be used as a marker for Kakashi and the others to follow. I need to talk to Kurama, Naruto said as they ran and blinked, before suddenly finding himself in front of Kurama's cage once more. So, what was that about? The fox inside the cage was laying down with his eyes closed. One of the eyes slowly opened to glance at Naruto. What do you mean? How could you pop up inside the Tsukuyomi? How could you resist the Sharingan? Naruto wanted to know, which made Kurama chuckle. As I told the Uchiha, I guess I'm grateful to have a Senju host, the fox said, sitting up and grinning down at Naruto. And I guess I'm a bit grateful to your old man as well. Meaning, the seal holding me was altered by the Yondaime, Kurama explained. A sliver of my chakra is always floating into your own chakra system, probably as a way to teach you how to instinctively get used to and manipulate my chakra, I don't know. In any case, that is a two-way opening, you know. The Yondaime didn't account for it, of course, but it's there. Naruto's eyes widened in realization. You mean that some of my chakra is mingling with yours? Yes, Kurama said with a nod. Our chakras have bonded on some levels. While this will make it easier for you to control my chakra, it will also make it easier for me to take over your body, should you ever be foolish enough to let me out of here. Back on topic, the only one who has been able to control me, other than an Uchiha, has been the Shodai Hokage. His chakra is potent, and he has always been able to resist the Sharingan, no matter how powerful. That resistance has been passed on to me, thanks to you. Then how come I couldn't resist the Sharingan? Naruto asked, furrowing his brow. I don't know, Kurama said with a shrug as he lay down again. You expect me to know everything. I'm a mass of chakra, not a ninjutsu expert. I know things only from what I have experienced. I guess you just weren't mentally prepared to face the Mangekyo Sharingan. A grin once more spread on Kurama's face as he sneered at Naruto. Or you're just too damn retarded to ever be able to put up a defense against it. Hey! Naruto barked, flipping the fox off. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm grateful you saved me, I'd come in there and kick your ass for that. Kurama grinned wider. Bring it, brat. Why, you. Naruto gritted his teeth, but then calmed down and turned his back on Kurama, a small grin appearing on his face. Hey, thanks, Kurama. Kurama just grunted in response. Naruto's consciousness returned to the real world, and he couldn't help but smirk to himself, something Sasuke didn't fail to notice. What are you so happy about? Nothing, I just realized that I've got another advantage over you. Hey, Sasuke muttered, frowning. Is the fox helping you? You could say that. Anything he can do to help you isn't an advantage of yours. Don't take credit for stuff he does. Naruto laughed. Are you saying that because you don't want me to be more awesome than I already am, or because you want to give Kurama credit where credit is due? Sasuke's frown deepened, and he refrained from answering, instead simply looking ahead and speeding up, which made Naruto laugh again. The duo reached their goal, a wide river with a cave that had been blocked off by a massive boulder. Naruto's senses told him that Gaara, along with two massive chakra sources, were behind the boulder. Also in there was a large gathering of chakra, including Itachi's, but it was like their bodies weren't there, only their chakra. So, we have no idea what's behind this. Sasuke concluded after hearing Naruto's report. We have some idea. We know that only two shinobi are in there in person, Naruto said with a shrug as he looked up at the seal that had been placed on the boulder. That's a 5-point barrier seal. Pretty sophisticated stuff. Naruto-kun. Sasuke-kun. The two looked over their shoulders to see Team Guy landing on the river, much to their surprise. Guy was grinning widely at them, Pakun sitting on his shoulder. Yo, Guy-sensei, Naruto said, raising his hand in greeting. Where's Kakashi? Guy asked. We ran ahead. He'll be here with the others soon, Sasuke said. It's a good thing you showed up, though. We need help taking down this barrier. And how do we do that? Guy asked, looking to Naruto. A seal like this is anchored by 5 seal tags, with 4 of them anchoring this one to the spot, Naruto said as he looked up at the seal again. I don't see any booby traps, so removing it should be easy, provided the anchors are removed at the same time. But where are the other tags, then? Tenten asked, and Sasuke glanced at Neji. Hey, Neji, could you have a look? Right, Neji said as his Byakugan flared to life. He appeared to be looking straight ahead, but anyone who knew the Byakugan would know that he was looking everywhere but straight ahead. Found them. On top of a rock about 500 meters northeast of here. On the trunk of a tree, on a river bank, 350 meters southeast. On a wall of rock about 650 meters northwest. And inside a grove about 800 meters southwest. Right, Guy said, taking off his backpack and fishing out a wireless radio from it. If it's that range, we'll use these radios. While we're taking Neji's directions, we can keep in communication, and we'll find the locations of the tags. As Team Guy was putting on the radios, 3 people landed on the river next to them. Kakashi, Hinata, and Chiyo had finally arrived. Took you long enough, Naruto said with a smirk. You didn't get here as fast as I'd expected, Kakashi said softly. Ran into a bit of trouble on the way. Yeah, Naruto said with a nod. Anyway, Guy said, having put on his radio, speed-wise, my team is faster. The frequency is 174. Wait for our signal. Right, Kakashi said, fishing a wireless radio out of his kunai pouch. And while we're waiting, tell me what you feel inside, Naruto. Only 2 shinobi now, Naruto said as Team Guy dashed off. Earlier, there were 7 more in there, but they were just faint signals. They're gone now, though. And Gaara. Naruto trailed off, and Sasuke glanced at him. Can't sense him. No. Okay, Kakashi said softly, leaping up onto the stone. When I remove this seal, we'll break in with a button hook entry. Naruto, you breach. Naruto nodded and got into position in front of the boulder, while Sasuke and Hinata took their place on one side, and Chiyo took her place on the other side. Ready. Kakashi muttered, gripping the seal. Go. He ripped it off, and Naruto charged forward, rearing his fist back before smashing it into the boulder, which exploded into tiny pieces. Kakashi made a hand signal, and the 5 of them rushed in, Chiyo and Kakashi hugging the wall to the left, and Team 7 hugging the wall to the right, keeping their backs safe as they surveyed the cave. The 2 Akatsuki members were at the back of the cave. A young-looking blonde man was sitting on the unmoving body of Gaara, with a large bird that appeared to be made out of clay standing next to him. The other Akatsuki member was a large hunched-over man whose hair had been styled into cornrows. Half his face had been covered by a cloth mask, the bottom of which had been torn off, probably by Kenkuro's puppet. Well then, the blonde man said with a smirk. Which of you is the Jinchuriki, I wonder, HN. Naruto, seal their escape path, Kakashi ordered, to which Naruto nodded and flashed through hand seals, ending in snake. The cave started shaking as thick wooden poles burst out of the ground around the walls, stretching upward and forming a cage that spanned the entire cave. Mokuten ninjutsu, the blonde spoke, sounding a bit intrigued, judging by the smile on his face. I guess he's the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, then, HN. Chiyo Basama. Kakashi muttered, glancing at Chiyo. That is not Sasori's real body, Chiyo said, looking grim. It's just a puppet. He is hiding inside it. This made everyone's eyes widen. Puppeteering wasn't too common, but even so, none of them had ever heard of a puppeteer hiding inside their puppet. Because they're open to attack when controlling their puppets, puppeteers are weak in close combat. So, that puppet circumvents that weakness. The puppet becomes armor, and at the same time a weapon. That's Sasori's favorite puppet, Hirako. I know it well. Then, Hinata mumbled nervously. Then what should we do? First off, we have to get Sasori out of Hirako if we want to be able to do anything. The most terrifying thing about the puppets are the unpredictable traps, mechanisms that can launch from anywhere. And in all likelihood, they're all poisoned, right? Sasuke surmised, which made the blonde laugh. Sasori no Dana, they sure know a lot about you, don't they? Think I'm as famous? Kakashi-sensei. Naruto asked, glancing at Kakashi, who was narrowing his eyes at the blonde Akatsuki member. Never seen him before, the Cyclops concluded, making the blonde twitch. Hey, you really haven't heard of me. You have no sense of art then, HN. I'm Deidara. Deidara, damn it. Never seen him, but I've heard of him, Kakashi said. He's from Iwa. From Kenkiro's report, I guess he's the one who uses explosives. Alright, how are we going to do this? Sasuke asked, drawing his sword. Split them up, Kakashi said. Sasuke, you're with me. Hinata, Naruto, follow Chiyo Basama's lead. Well then, I guess I'll leave the Jinchuriki to you, Dana, Deidara said, jumping up on his bird. His hand came out of his sleeve, holding what looked like a miniature clay bird, identical to the one he was standing on. The bird moved on its own, taking flight and shooting straight past the Konoha shinobi into the wooden bars blocking the entrance. When it impacted, it exploded, blowing a massive hole in the wooden cage. It's for the best, I suppose, Sasuke concluded as the giant clay bird took flight, before shooting off out of the cave, with Kakashi and Sasuke giving chase. Now that they were left alone, Sasori gave a chuckle. It's a good thing there are 3 of you. Even if I have to leave the Jinchuriki alive, the other 2 of you will put my puppet collection to an even 300. Sasori reached up and pulled his cloak off, revealing his body. He was standing on all fours, his back covered by a thick shield in the shape of some kind of oni demon with a long bladed tail sticking out of its mouth. On his left arm, he had some kind of thick cylindrical gauntlet with several rods sticking out of it. Chiyo hummed at the sight. It would seem the shape is slightly different from the Hirako I knew long ago, she said grimly. Firstly, that shell on his back wasn't there before. And that must have strengthened his defense. I've also never seen that left hand before. Furthermore, he might have redesigned his most important traps. So, we're running in blind is what you're saying. Naruto muttered, sighing. Nothing's ever easy, is it? What should we do? Hinata mumbled. To defeat Sasori, we first have to take out Hirako. While neither you nor I have the power needed to destroy it, Naruto-kun does. Plus, I have a bit of a resistance against poisons, and I heal pretty fast, Naruto confirmed, nodding. I'll get close to him and smash that Hirako thing, but it'll happen fast, and I don't have a Sharingan to help me react, so I'll need you 2 to play some interference. I know how much puppeteers like Senbons, and I don't really feel like getting turned into a pincushion. I'll help where I can with the Juken, Naruto-kun, Hinata said softly, to which Naruto nodded. Then, however, he perked up and looked down at himself, then at Chiyo. Oh, so that's your plan, old lady. It's what I'm here for, she said with a nod. Let's go, then. With that, Naruto dashed forward. Sasori pulled the mask off his face, opening his puppet maw and firing a large amount of Senbon at Naruto. The blonde, however, fluidly dodged the needles with an unusual grace. Hinata watched in surprise as Naruto dodged and dodged, but when she activated her Byakugan, her eyes widened. Chiyo Basama is controlling Naruto-kun's movements with chakra strings. That's right, if anyone would know exactly how to dodge Sasori's attacks, it would be his grandmother. Suddenly, Sasori raised his left hand and launched the massive gauntlet at Naruto. Hinata's eyes widened once more when she saw what was inside the gauntlet. Naruto-kun, Chiyo Basama, look out, she yelled out, rushing forward as all the rods in the gauntlet broke and launched a massive amount of Senbons in all directions. Hinata got between Naruto and Chiyo and started spinning on the spot. Kaden. A dome of chakra formed around her, deflecting each and every Senbon heading for them. Whoa! Naruto barked with an amazed smile on his face. You learned a new move, Hinata. Sasori's eyes were wide in surprise as Naruto charged past Hinata, heading straight for him. His tails raised into the air, rearing back to pierce Naruto, but the blonde flashed through seals, and Sasori's surprise increased when 2 wooden poles shot out of the ground to wrap around the tail, keeping it in place. Wah! Gotcha! Naruto roared as he reached the puppeteer, who looked away from the wooden poles in time to catch a massive punch to the face, which completely smashed the puppet to bits and shattered the ground underneath it from the force. A shape came flying out of the smashed Hirako, wearing a cloak that hid his features from view. As he landed, however, one could easily tell that he was short, about the height of a 14-year-old. Of course, that's my grandmother, came a youthful, monotone voice from within the cloak. No wonder why even that boy was able to avoid my attacks. You saw all of my attacks, using chakra strings to control the boy. Not only that, you cleverly put strings on Haruko's tail, signaling the boy where to attack in order to restrain it. You've worked this out quite well, Chiyo said, smiling proudly. Well, of course, the boy said, grabbing his cloak. Who is it that taught me to play with puppets? No one else, but you. Yes. Well, we're done playing for today. Sasori pulled off his cloak, revealing a very young-looking boy garbed in Akatsuki robes, with red hair and a surprisingly gentle face. Do you really think it will be that easy, Chiyo-Basama? The hell? Naruto muttered, narrowing his eyes. Hinata. Take a look at him. Hinata looked intently at Sasori, her eyes widening in surprise. This is impossible, she exclaimed. He has a chakra center, but his chakra points are gone. He's held together by chakra strings. Sasori didn't respond to this revelation. Instead, he pulled out a scroll and held it out, letting it roll open to reveal the kanji for 3 written on it. I'll show you what I brought along. Killing him for my collection gave me a hard time indeed. That's why I like him the best. There was an explosion of smoke, and when it cleared, everyone went wide-eyed at the sight, seeing a puppet version of a person Naruto and Hinata had only seen in old bingo books. The Sandame cage of the Iron Sand. The Sandame. Naruto muttered, tensing up. It's been over 10 years since the Sandame suddenly disappeared from the village. Chiyo muttered grimly. Sasori, you. For a retired old woman near death, you're still quite good, Sasori remarked. Even retired and near death, I'll still take action. I've too many regrets to die yet. Chiyo sighed. My grandson. You've not only fallen to the level of a mere criminal, but you've betrayed your village, and gone after the cage 3 times. 3 times. Hinata repeated in surprise. It was Orochimaru who killed the Yondaime cage, Gaara's father, but it was this one who guided him. And this time with Gaara. Also, even the Sandame. Hey, I don't know about the Yondaime, Sasori defended. It was my subordinate who guided him. Indeed, I was originally partnered with Orochimaru in Akatsuki, so we did many things, but I had nothing to do with the Yondaime. Now, let us begin. With that, Sasori launched the Sandame at Chiyo and Hinata. He's fast. Hinata thought in surprise as a large amount of blades extended from the Kazekage's right sleeve, heading straight for her. I don't have time to start the Kaden. The blades came closer and closer to Hinata, almost in slow motion. When they were an inch away from her face, however, a sandal was planted on the Kazekage's arm, belonging to none other than Naruto, who kicked the arm away, then spun in the air and landed a heel kick on the Kazekage's cheek, sending the puppet flying back. Ouch! Naruto muttered as he landed, rubbing his heel into the dirt. That kinda hurt. The Sandame cage is a human puppet, Naruto. Chiyo called. It has all the abilities of the original. What? Naruto barked, wide-eyed. Are you telling me he can use the iron sand? He scoffed and reached down, rubbing his heel. No wonder his face is so hard. Hinata, you're uniquely suited to dismantle this puppet, Chiyo said seriously. If you can break the chakra connection between the joints, and cut the strings holding it, it will become useless. It can only use the iron sand as long as it's under Sasori's control. You're operating under the assumption that I will let you destroy it, Sasori said as a metallic sand started pouring out of the Kazekage's mouth, swirling around it like clouds of steel dust. Sasori made a few gestures with his hands, and the iron sand formed into hundreds of tiny projectiles, which all shot off toward Naruto, Hinata, and Chiyo. Doten. Doryuaheki. Naruto called out, slamming his palms into the ground. A massive wall of earth rose up between them and Sasori, and hundreds of thumps were heard as the iron projectiles impacted with it. Behind it, Naruto's eyes widened as he flashed through seals. Shit. Again. Once more, he slammed his hands into the ground, causing another wall to rise up behind the first one, just in time for several of the projectiles to break through, slamming into the second wall. Those are some sharp attacks. Naruto muttered, shaking his head in amazement. Naruto-kun. It's still coming. Hinata yelled suddenly, making Naruto's eyes widen as he looked up, to see the sand welling over the rock wall. He made to dodge, but was shocked to find his feet stuck to the ground. Looking down, he saw that ropes of iron sand was wrapped around his ankles, anchoring him to the ground. What the hell? When did? Naruto barked, only for his eyes to widen. When I kicked it, did it attach its sand to me back then? Gritting his teeth, Naruto slammed his hands together and flashed through seals. Mokuden. A massive cloud of dust was kicked up when the heavy iron sand crashed down onto Naruto. Naruto-kun. Hinata screamed in shock. The earth walls crumbled, revealing the smirking Sasori behind them. How cute, he said softly as the pile of iron sand rolled off slightly to reveal a wooden dome covering the blonde. However, it's not enough to protect against this. The Kazekage's hand raised, and its fist clenched. The iron sand wrapped around the wood dome and constricted, easily crushing it and anything inside, just like Gaara's Sabaku Susup desert funeral. Sasori's brow furrowed, however. What? The ground underneath the cage burst, and out came Naruto, his fist clenched. The air around his fist seemed to be distorting from the amount of chakra packed into it. Take this. The punch that impacted with the puppet packed enough force in it to send a shockwave through the air that shook the entire cave, making pieces of stone break off from the ceiling and shaking plenty of dust from it. The cage puppet exploded into hundreds of tiny bits, Sasori's eyes widening at the sight. When did he? His gaze went toward where he had crushed the wooden dome, to see nothing but splinters in a pile. Was it a clone from the start? Hinata and Chio both breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing Naruto standing, appearing to be fine. Sasori noticed this, and smirked slightly. So, you didn't tell your teammates that it was a clone. Went for genuine reactions, did you? Something like that, Naruto said, getting into a fighting stance. Now, let's see you break as well. So, what did you think? Love it. Hate it. Remember to leave a review. Peace. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more what ifs and support the author. See you guys in the next video.